Natural resources are very essential in the development of the country. In Uganda, over 90% of the population solely derive their livelihood from natural resources with no foreseeable alternative in the near future. Unfortunately, many of these resources have been severely degraded. Encroachers used the loopholes in the laws inherited by the post-independence government to degrade the resources almost with impunity. The laws denied the communities access to the resources that formed their major source of livelihood. This bred hatred between them and the law enforcement agents, and so the communities could not stop nor report the encroachers to the authorities. They too would only use the resources stealthily. The laws were also very hard to enforce, given the vastness of the protected nature reserves and the limited resources available to police them effectively.
So degradation of those resources actually continued to take its toll on the wetland resources and forests. And now it was realized that there was a need for an approach now to include the communities in management of those resources, since they are the people who live close to these natural resources. And therefore, the 1995 wetland policy, the 2001 forest policy, and then the 2003 Forestry and Tree Planting Act provide for community participation in the management of wetlands and forests, but they were not adequately being implemented by the lead agencies, that is NFA and the Wetland Management Division.
It is with this background that CARE International in Uganda designed the 4-year project codenamed Strengthening Local Governance in Natural Resources Management to redress the situation. The project is designed to demonstrate that empowering the communities to own and utilize these natural resources in a sustainable manner is the foundation to sustainable development. CARE International in Uganda implements the project through civil society organizations in the districts of Kasese, Kabarole, and Chenjojo under the REPA 2 program.
The Rights, Equity and Protected Areas program is funded by DANIDA through CARE Denmark and has 3 sub-components. The first one is the cost and benefits. The second one is community-based natural resource management. And the third component is the Batwa empowerment that is exclusively implemented in the Kigezi region. Now, Slogan contributes to the first 2 components through building and supporting emergence of community structures that are engines for good governance in natural resources. The other one is empowering women participation in natural resource management, strengthening the capacity of communities to demand for accountability, for improved governance, working with government and lead agencies in being responsive or building their capacity to undertake community-based natural resource management. We have a component of improving livelihoods through providing for alternative incomes for the natural resource adjacent communities, and the Slogan project is working in 8 sub-counties, that is Lake Katwe sub-county and Mahango in Kasese, Karambi, Mugusu and Hakivale sub-county in Kabarole district, Kihura, Charusozi and Butiti sub-counties in Chenjuju. The other component of Slogan that is not site-specific is that we get the local level initiatives and link them with the national level initiatives, particularly for advocacy, informing and influencing the policy makers, but also disseminating the lessons for replication.
In Kabarole and Chenjojo districts, Care International in Uganda collaborated with Caritas Fort Portal and joint effort to save the environment, JESE in short, to mobilize and sensitize community members neighboring Itwara and the Matiri forests on their rights, roles, and responsibility in the sustainable management of forestry resources. The two forests are a major source of livelihood of the surrounding communities, as well as a home of endemic species of flora and fauna, making up the rich ecosystem of the region. So, through a series of sensitization meetings, training seminars, and exposure visits conducted during the project time, the community members now appreciate that these forests belong to them and they have a right to utilize and benefit fully from them.
Ekibira eki nyowe ninda ngu nituza kukirinda tulinde mu bwinganiza turamanya ngu ekitwalinda nituza kugoborera mu mulingo gwitu nk'abantu abakiherereye kandi na government nayo eije goborera mu mulingo gwayo.
Amagezi agabatwegeseze agakuga mu kibira mu mwumbi batugambire naito tulinde ekibira bokuba cyo nikituhorwa nabo kutuyamba ito abantu kandi okwija abantu bakakitema bakimara nitutunga obugwire nitutunga omusana nitujwebwe ekyanda.
The project has also harmonized the relationship between the communities and the National Forestry Authority, NFA, the government body charged with fostering sustainable management of the forestry resources in the country.
Ekitero kino tukabitakaizire tukaba tuine challenge y'amaanyi ekizibu ekikuru kyali oruhenda orukubaganiza ekibira n'ebibanja by'abataka n'ebizibu ebindi byali ebisoro byali tulire ebyokulya n'ekyali kizibu ky'amaanyi muno. Abantu bakaba batandikire ekibira tikibaine omugaso kyonka kuraba muke abakenya through JESE obaizire batugarama amaani batwegesa bakingwira ekitebe kyaitu. We are confident we can coexist n'ebintu byaitu byona ensonga zaitu zona ezitwasabire twamanya nabajja kukora bajja kuzikiriza nituhura nati tuine amaani nitugenda mu maiso n'ekitebe kyaitu.
The converted communities have since agreed to form collaborative forest management associations through which to enter formal contracts with government agencies stipulating their rights, roles and duties in managing the forest resources. They are now in late stages of signing a memorandum of understanding to manage this resource for posterity.
The responsible body in this case, which is the National Forest Authority, will sign an agreement with the village organization to manage the Central Forest Reserve and give technical guidance to the communities in the management of the whole forest reserve.
Ninyoni ndeba kukolengana n'abana ba NFA n'aba JESE nindeba kige kintu kirungi munonga okugira ngo batwayika habwire bunu bwo kuza kwikira kolendagano kandi batwegesa emishomo mirungi kandi nindeba ngo byo buhango bokse batwegesa tuza kugobororamo twihemo mbaho twiyeme ibintu byo kutuyamba no kurinda ihamba kurungi kugira ngo batarishishe.
Obwire bunu twayika omu step ya mushanju okukora ebiturate omundagano kuturabe twamalize ndagano nituza okongeraho akibira okubyara emiti no kutanga abashuma okushisha emiti.
They will also use the same associations to mobilize many more members, especially those neighboring these forests, to join the association and to demand for accountability from the local authorities designated to manage the natural resources on their behalf.
People are demanding to know what is happening in the forest. I had a meeting with the environment monitors, this part of the Kabenda group, and they were asking me a lot of questions. You want you to explain how you got this money and what you used it for. They asked me, people are cutting timber in Itwara, and we don't want it. People are planting trees in Itwara, much as it's acceptable. We don't know. And they passed this on over to NFA. They now feel the forest is theirs. It helps us to get illegal activities, but it means us as the government officials and other organization officials that are paid salary, we are being put on our toes to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do and report to these people.
Already, the communities have started implementing the interventions to conserve the forest, but at the same time safeguarding their plants from the destructive animals. The communities, particularly those neighboring the forest, have started planting the Mauritius thorn hedge to keep away the animals that used to destroy their crops.
Ndatisa ndalindaho chonka ndatisa chonka kujeshire bangambiramo nenatamamani nunura kunjechi namani kugariho gunteremo ndagarira yangu nati ninko biteza gira kitashwa kugira ki nanye nkaba nkabandi nuri hanyino bwana hati hanyuma naguma nabwo ambo baso kati nyinamani go kuza gukora handi kandi impana abigurire kandi no kukiguza atari hati hanyuma reka nkore ngire nkore niko basi nko kubandagirire niko hati nanye nkaba nkabandi
hati kimazire kuvyara ekichweka kiri kwingana mita nk'enkumi 3 n'orusanju 8 betu ntikyayongera kuvyara esigadeyo kichweka kikoto ka kilomita 8.
Besides planting the Mauritius thorn fence, the community members have also started planting hot pepper, both for repelling the destructive animals and to sell off the surplus to boost their incomes.
Twatwele twasomesewa kamali nke enu ntugihemba mu kikomi nuko nesoha ebisore ebi tibugena misiri y'abantu.
In areas where large animals such as elephants are the problem, the farmers were advised to excavate huge trenches to block them from reaching their gardens. The group members have also planted trees on their farms as an alternative source of firewood, building poles, and income as one of the measures to reduce pressure from the forests.
Obamazire kutendeka bakatuletera embibo z'emiti ebikanka 5 hali mu caritus, hali mu coriandra yo kubyala mu misiri kuleta mu rwezo, haliho emiti ya patura, haliho n'emiti endi ya musizi yamba. Emiti eri around 3 hectares o more abokwa buli yoma katwara kubyala mu musiri gwe.
The project not only empowers communities to actively participate in natural resources management, but also to demand for essential services which can help them to live a more comfortable life.
Amukichweka cyaitu kino na mbere kibera kiri irwaro riri hara muno riri omumayiro mukaga kandi abantu nibarwara muno. Antwija anke kitebe kuhandikira ministry kwatwaho tuboleka ebizibwe bitwine ntusaba irwaro baritera hihana nuko abantu baitu abetorere kibera n'abana baitu bajanjabwe handwire zikuruga mu kibera kiramune zikuletwa ebijuju ebisore biriyo n'ebindi kandi nitumanya irwaro turi kujya kwanga kwija ekikuru muno bakubanze batuletera emisomo batwegesa uko kuturayirinde endwaire no kuzitangira.
CARE International in Uganda collaborated with Caritas to mobilize and empower communities surrounding Muhora wetland in Kabarole district, Hahocha and Chianjushu wetlands in Kasese district to demonstrate how the wetland resource can be utilized in a sustainable manner.
Wetlands are very important in the district of Kasese. They form part of our water resources system, but about 2/3 of all our wetlands have been encroached upon, and about 1/3 have been converted to farmlands. People in about 3 parishes entirely depend on Kahocha wetland for their water requirements, and that vital wetland must be protected immediately. Then Chanzus ni Mahangu, it is part of the system that is connected to River Nganji, which supplies the Kasese Municipal Council with water. Then a system connected to River Muhocha that supplies the Muhocha irrigation scheme. So we also looked at that system in Kyanzusu as also vital, which needed immediate protection and management.
Basing on the acquired knowledge and information, a commendable number of community members have over the time changed their attitude towards the wetlands. They now sustainably harvest the resources they are in and safeguard it from any form of destructive activities.
Hatu twamanyire kintu kinu mugaso twatunga obujunaanizibu nogenda mpora kurungi nimweteraniza nk'abakazi omurambo bw'okwihayo enfunjo nimwihayo enfunjo zanyu zikubamara nosana kukyesengereza bw'okwano hamwe kintu ekirakuyamba tosobora kusiisa na kati
nerubabara twabirutunga enyesiibwa bamenyegesya namarake ekisesa enabara tuhesya sente mitwalo 20 nerubabara babinyegesya namarake ekisesa.
UNIA is now the leading crusader of conserving the wetlands, and she has since been elected a member of Kyanjushu Wetland Management Committee. The committee is charged with the responsibility of mobilizing the rest of the community members to implement the wetland management plan designed by the communities under the guidance of the Department of Natural Resources in the district. Kyanjushu Wetland Management Plan, just like Kahotia and Muhora Wetland Management Plans, were approved and launched by the Minister of Water and the Environment. The ceremony brought together a wide range of stakeholders at the local and national level. This is one of the strategies used by the project to show all stakeholders that the communities, if empowered, can manage their resources effectively. Already, communities surrounding Kyanjushu Wetland have started implementing their 5-year Kyanjushu Wetland Management Plan.
So we managed to recover 80 acres on the part which was degraded before sensitization, and as I say now, that part had never been encroached anymore.
But not everything is rosy. There are, as expected, some pockets of resistance, but sooner than later, all the community members will be socialized to conform to the new standards. The local council leadership works in partnership with the wetland management committees to sensitize the community members to appreciate the need for change or face the wrath of the bylaws, but not before regularizing the boundaries of the wetland. For some community members claim that they bought the land and they are not sure whether they are in or outside the wetland.
Ukamba ka akasende ngaya ulahangende vingaleni neri nanga kusirahana neri wasanga nomuntu isale kweriki ejare gandara iwelebya arrinda kesoche kibyeho abana bayibatinda bangauti 10 gibingama wabende kwa government na kwa chisesa.
The demarcation of wetlands is a policy issue. We were with the minister in Mahango. We presented a petition to her. She said that the ministry is developing guidelines of demarcating wetlands. And the guidelines will first be piloted in Kampala. After the pilot, that's when now they bring them down to these other wetlands.
Kahotia, another wetland in Kasese district, has to a large extent been restored.